So I just briefly want to cover a myth there for a second. That the government, particularly, again, they're using this as an excuse to basically say, oh, it's not our fault that inflation's through the roof and things like that. First of all, obviously with a war in Europe or anywhere, there will be some sort of inflation. Obviously, Russia too and Ukraine are a huge process of wheat. Take for example, obviously bread. The most produce the most of that in the world, and obviously that's going to affect obviously wheat production. Obviously that's understandable, but they're saying about electricity and things like that. But beforehand, before the war, this is even the thing. Before the war, the media seemed to have forgot about this, that the inflation was going up anyway, because of the lockdowns. Obviously, it makes sense when people were locked up in their houses. There was less spending in the economy. Obviously, people were more reliant on the state. Obviously, the pandemic unemployment pay, people were getting money from the state and wouldn't get taxed or anything like that on it. But if I take for example, I'm working. At the end of the week, the government takes their share of my the money I own a week on tax, and every product I buy. Take for example, if I'm buying a new game, to be fat on that and then pay tax on that. The people wouldn't buy it. In other words, there was less buying because of the lockdowns, and obviously businesses were closed. They wouldn't make any money. The government had to give them money, and that's what led to inflation. There wasn't enough money. In the economy, there wasn't enough money circulating in the economy because obviously the lockdown. And anybody could have told you that. I could have told you that before the lockdown. And again, we fear that. And again, it's the government to blame for the lockdown. Countries, Sweden, for example, they're probably not as bad as inflation. But in this country, and again, the media got mad to keep the country locked down forever in this case because they're just obsessed with lockdowns. But again, that's what we have to be honest with ourselves. I know people still whinging about lockdowns. It didn't work. We had to be honest with ourselves. It never worked, the lockdowns. We still have COVID cases. It never works. Let's be honest, lockdown doesn't work. It causes more trouble than anything else because we have to deal with inflation. So either you're locked in the country forever and everybody starves, and that's one of the ideas to do. But again, this is the thing, and the OT needs to start doing this, and all the radio stations and things like that, saying that all the inflation is because of the Russian-Ukraine war. And the next thing I say is the government doing fuck all about it. 50 cents or something like that was cut off every litre of fuel or something like that. So you and I only worth 50 cents to them. Where they probably get a paycheck at the end of an extra 1%, because they are talking about a 1% pay rise for TDs. Again, isn't it great? They're doing such hard work to get another pay rise. But yeah, this is the thing. We only bought 50 cents to them per litre. Isn't that great? So yeah, nothing really else to help anybody else. There's not they're doing a thing where you get once off free electricity bill. Obviously that's welcome. Obviously I welcome that. But at the end of the day, they don't fuck all for anybody. People are begging. People are suffering out there. As we speak now, there's people probably sitting in a dark room with no lighting in the house, or God forbid, it has no heating in the house, and can't keep themselves warm. Oh, God forbid, they can't keep the children fed, and the children are going hungry to bed at night time. So this is what's happening. This is modern Ireland at the moment, and Eamon Ryan's off. I don't know what he's fucking off doing, but he's off talking bullshit anyway somewhere. And there's fuck all being done to help people. And that's just putting it straight. There's fuck all being done. And that's just putting it straight. There's nothing being done as far as I can see. There's nothing that can be done to help people. Where the government can do stuff, of course, but they're not fucking bothered really to do anything. Again, they knew themselves. I'm sure they're not that stupid, or whoever advises the government, that obviously lockdowns will lead to inflation. Obviously, less spending in the economy. The government's giving more money out than they're getting in revenue. In other words, and anybody could have told you that. I heard people saying that back at the beginning of this. And even before the end of 2019, people were saying, no, not the end of 2019, so 2020, the beginning of 2020, the inflation will go through the roof, and they were dead right, and the media seemed to have forgotten about that. The people did say, and the media called that a conspiracy theory, that the inflation will go through the roof, and it's gone 7 years, it's gone to the 30-year high, I think it is now in the country. And obviously it is affecting people in the pocket, and again, that's the one thing. And it does need to be addressed, and again, government are not likely to do anything about it. It just goes to show you, but again, if it's something to do with them, they'll be very quick to move. But yeah, it's this joke, and again, especially because they're using this excuse, the Ukrainian war, that's just causing all this inflation. Even though it was going up beforehand, like again, this is the thing you need to understand. Even though, again, I understand that obviously it probably is going up a bit because of the Ukrainian war, of course, because of wheat, obviously food, that wheat would do with bread and things like that. That's understandable, understand that bit. But oil and things like that, should be not really going up. But anyway, that's just me. I'm not an economist, but Yeah, that's just me. Again, they're using that excuse in the media more or less saying, "Oh, that's what's causing the album to go into recession or when the wind could quiet." Yeah. So